Hey, Joe, you have twins. Did you have 529 plans for your twins?
We did, yes.
Ah. And did you like them? Yes, no? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I did like them. You know, the best thing, obviously, the two best things about 529 plans are truly not the things that they sell, which is the tax benefits of a 529 plan, or the you know, in some you can do automatic age-based investing. Okay, those are all right. And maybe that's me, former pro, talking that way. I'll tell you the two things I liked. Number one, setting up an automatic investment that was specifically for my kids' college. Most people don't do that. They don't segregate out kids' college, and that's what that's for. And second, the fact that it was a completely separate pot of money for the kids' college. So what we did specifically as an asset allocation gain, I used two different states' 529 plans, not because I cared, and I didn't even care which name was on each one, because you could change the beneficiaries. So Autumn's could be for Nick could be for Autumn, but just so I had two different asset managers that were running it, because if one had some issue, then I had another one that I could go to. So I used two different ones for diversification purposes.
Oh, look at that. Look
Bam.
At that. Very strategery.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Fidelity and Vanguard.
Oh, nice. Two of the big three discount brokerages.
Amen.
Well, the next question that we are going to answer is a question that comes from Rebecca. And it's about 529s. Spoiler alert.
Hi, Paula and Joe. This is Rebecca, and I have a question about what to do with my son's 529 plan now that he is about to start college. We have 4 kids. He is starting college at a state university this fall. He has around $32,000 in his 529 plan. My second child is 15 and has around $22,000 in her plan, and my youngest two have about $14,000 each in their plans. But they have a way to go before college. The 529 plans are through Fidelity and consist of various index funds. They are not target date funds. Because my son has decided to attend an in-state public university, he will be receiving a full tuition scholarship, and we only have to pay for room and board and books and other incidentals. All in, we will be paying around $10,000 a year, give or take. But he doesn't have that much saved in his 529 plan. So my husband and I had planned on cash rolling his college tuition for the first 3 years until his senior year, at which point we thought his 529 plan would hopefully have grown a bit. At that time, our second child would be starting her freshman year at college, and we would have 2 college tuitions to pay for at the same time. We thought that at that point, which would be exactly 4 years from now, we could use our son's hopefully larger 529 plan to pay for his senior year, and do the same thing with my daughter of cash rolling her first 3 years and using her 529 plan for her senior year. What my son thinks he wants to do in life would require some graduate school, perhaps a year or 2 of a master's program. So if we used up some of the 529 plan for his senior year, we would have around $20,000 to help him pay for graduate school. Another option is for us to cash roll all 4 years of my son's undergraduate college and save the 529 plan for grad school, or use it for his sisters, or save it for his children in the future if he ends up changing his mind as to, career choice and not needing to go to grad school. Given the chance that we may need to use the funds in his plan for his senior year, which would be exactly 4 years from now, do we need to take the money out of the plan now and keep it in savings, even though there's a possibility that we won't need the money until grad school or for his younger sisters further down the line? If we take the money out now and hold it in savings, does that now constitute an asset that he has to report on the FAFSA, even if he is not receiving any financial aid? We have lost a little bit of money in all the 529 plans due to the market volatility. We're basically breaking even. I don't want to lock in losses, but I also know that there's a rule that if you need the money within 3 to 4 years, it shouldn't be invested in the stock market. Our problem is that we're not sure if we will need the money or not. I'm a very high income earner, luckily, so we can certainly cash roll the $10,000 a year for his entire undergraduate college experience. I just don't know what to do with his money right now. For now, we're still contributing a bit to each of the 529 plans every month because I don't know what to do with his plan yet. I'd appreciate any guidance you can offer on this subject. Thank you.
Rebecca, thank you for the question. So right out of the gate, what strikes me, because you're right, there are a lot of moving parts, the approach that I would likely take is cash flow 10 grand a year for your son, use the money, the 32,000 in your son's account, plus the 22,000 in the 15-year-old's account. So that's a total of $54,000, right? Use that for the 15-year-old. And then at that point, then the future contributions can go towards the funds for the youngest two. Because as I see it, the 15-year-old is right on the brink of starting college. It'll happen in fairly soon, in fairly due time. So the 15-year-old is going to need basically a fully funded 529 plan in relatively short order. And if you were to use the $32,000 invested for the college-bound son, if you were to use that for the 15-year-old and then plan that money from the point of view of this is for the 15-year-old, then you can invest that accordingly based on timeline, right? So I would say, put that 54,000 towards the 15-year-old, make future contributions for the youngest two, cash flow the son that's currently starting college.
You also, as an add-on, cannot take that money out now if it doesn't pay for expenses. Otherwise, the gains on that money, the part that's been growing tax-deferred and grows tax-free, if you take it out for college, you'll automatically pay a penalty on that money. So taking that money out today is not an option. And by the way, you're absolutely 100% right, Rebecca. That money then goes on the FAFSA form as an asset that if he does become eligible for financial aid, let's say that he's independent when he goes to get his master's, if he still has that money sitting there, that will work directly dollar for dollar against any aid that he would get. So you do not want to take it out for that reason. Even if you were going to pay the penalty and do it, which you don't want to do, even if you did do that, the FAFSA makes it even worse. So it's a horrible idea to think about taking it out now.
Yeah. I don't see any reason to take money out of 529 plans. I mean,
None.
The fact you can cash flow money for the college-bound son. So it's not like you need the cash, right? You can easily cash flow that from your current income.
I don't know that I like that either, though.
Really? Okay, we'll dig into that in a moment.
Yeah.
But you can cash flow it from current income. Meanwhile, you've got 3 other kids who all need more 529 money. So there's no reason to take a withdrawal from a 529 when instead you can just reassign money from your son's 529, your eldest son's 529. You can just reassign that towards the other 3 kids. And among those other 3 kids, the 15-year-old is the one who's going to need it soonest.
Yeah, like Rebecca said, even if that doesn't work, I mean, you can pass it on to their children. So it becomes Rebecca's family education trust in a lot of ways.
Right.
That they could do that. So, yeah, I agree. The only reason to take money out is if there's some huge catastrophe in the family where the income stream just dries up. Okay, then I think it's warranted. But outside of that, no. No, don't do it.
Yeah.
So here's my consternation about doing cash flow now. In most cases, in most use cases, if it were retirement, planning for a second home, whatever it might be, where you're taking the money out, I think that doing the cash flow option today to meet whatever that is, if you can do it, is a great idea. Because of the fact that we look at inflation most of the time, and inflation makes the bet, Paula, really in your favor. So there's this thing called a risk premium, right? Where is it worth the risk to have the money invested versus doing something else? The risk premium with college is not the same deal because college pricing continues to go up at these astronomical rates where I look at the money sitting there for college that they've invested today, and I think leaving that money alone, even though it will it grow a lot when it comes to versus the cost of college? Now, contrary to what Rebecca said, because this might surprise a lot of the Afford Anything audience, is that as we're recording this video, the market's up big time. And because of the fact that in the popular press, all we're hearing about is, the struggles around stuff in the government, the struggles around inflation, we all think the stock market's been crap. The stock market's hitting all-time highs again now.
Yeah.
The stock market's pretty phenomenal. So Rebecca, if your 529 is struggling right now and you said you've lost some, you might want to look at that asset allocation because
Yeah.
It
Well,
should be up.
I mean, I don't know when she left the voicemail. I mean, we're recording this Thursday, July 27, 2023. But but year to date, right? Year to date, the stock market is just phenomenal.
Big
so
numbers.
I mean, yeah, even if you put money in the market at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, right? Like one of the worst recent times you could put money in the market. Even if you put some big lump sums in the market right around that time, you would still be about on par today.
I'm looking at ticker symbol SPY, which is the SPDR, the S&P 500 ETF, one of the S&P 500 ETFs. And the market truly bottomed out last year. I believe it's October 11th, if I've got this right. The SPDR was trading at $357.74. $357. Today it's trading at $453, almost $100 a share more than it was trading a year ago in October. So markets has done pretty well. But so here's what we got, Paula. We have an up market. I'm not certain that colleges are going to anytime soon rein back expenses and this huge wall of expenses. So we can probably count on 5 to 7% inflation for college expenses. I would take that excess cash flow and secure the longer term stuff while I empty out that 529 plan while we have an up market. That's what for the oldest one. That's what I would do. I would take the bird in the hand today and go, you know what, we saved this money. It's for this purpose. Let's go ahead and spend it today and save the cash flow maybe for later. That is contrary to any other goal I know of. Every other goal I know of, I totally agree with you. Use the cash flow option today. Let your money ride, because if inflation's at 3 and you're getting 8, it's a win to leave it invested. For college, it doesn't make as much sense.
So you would not then redirect the son's money towards the 15-year-old. You would spend the son's money on the son.
And I would look at in the future cash flowing the 15-year-old instead. Now, the question then becomes, and this is great, and this is why all goals are tied together, right? Stephen Covey, you pick up one end of the stick, the other stick comes with it. The question I would ask Rebecca is, what are you going to be doing when the 15-year-old goes to college? Because the only uncertainty in my plan of using the 529 money is, what if that great cash flow she has when 15-year-old goes to college is no longer there? That's the only if. So I would keep saving I would use that excess cash flow to keep saving into the 15-year-old's plan while I'm at the same time taking it out of the young. Really, in a lot of ways, we're getting to the same place, because we can change the thing. I just like the fact we have an up market, and I don't know. Cash flow later when you need to. When the 529 plans are empty, don't do it today.
Interesting. So part of my thinking was, if she were to roll over the eldest son's money into the 15-year-old's, that money, given that the timeline on the 15-year-old, right, there's going to be 3 more years until the 15-year-old enters college, and then another 4 years for college. So we're talking 7 years before that account needs to be drained, which means that with that kind of timeline, that money can be invested more aggressively today.
But is it going to beat the inflation of college? If it were retirement, if we're talking about she's saving toward these kids' retirement, I'm like, Paula, you're 100% right.
Right.
I don't know that it's going to beat the cost going up at college by the risk premium. Is the risk premium high enough that actually makes sense? I don't know. Use the money. I think we have an up market right now. It's a beautiful time to use it, to take those gains and use them.
The bigger concern then might be the fact that she's not reporting gains, or she's not, she's talking as though she's got losses in here. She said that she did not want to lock in losses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if that's the case.
That to me is a concern, because, if she's got losses, then I agree. Don't lock in losses.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, and it certainly is something for her to examine. A lot of times we have this colloquially where we think in our head that this is what's going on, and I haven't actually gone into the account and looked. There were many times during my career where, listening to the popular press, my client would come in going, "Oh, I heard things are awful," Or worse yet, this is the worst one. The worst was, oh man, things are great. I'm like, no, have you not been paying attention the last 2 months? and I'm, it's not good when you're the hired help to be the voice of doom and gloom, telling them that things are not as great as you think that they are. But still, it could be that, it could be because I think it surprises right now a lot of people to think that the market's actually up.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know why. I guess because we have experienced such high inflation, people feel cash strapped on a day-to-day level, and perhaps emotionally translate that into assuming that their portfolio is also underperforming.
I don't know about for you, but when I look at any financial news, what I'm hearing about is inflation starting to moderate, but everybody thinking about, when's the next wave going to come because of.
Right.
Because of that, like what's going on there. I'm hearing about companies still laying people off. We're seeing, of course, this debate from Airbnb about real estate and office real estate, people going back to work. So people are wondering about, what's the state of different pieces of the real estate environment. Like it's all negative. And with all that negativity to go, no. The stock market's rocking just doesn't seem to be the same thing.
Right. It feels incongruent. I guess because there's so many conversations about are we due for a recession?
Yes.
Will it be a hard landing or a soft landing? We're still talking about that.
Which is very interesting and somewhat congruent, but a little bit of a tangent. This is why you don't mess around with your money and bet. Because of the fact that often you're betting based on all of these criteria, which are not really the stock market. I mean, October of last year when the stock market decided to take off, most of us were still in, oh man, it's looking, I remember all the tech jobs going away last fall, right? That's all we were talking about was Microsoft laying off people, Google laying off people, all these layoffs happening. And that was the beginning. And if at that point, Paula, you had gone, you know what, I can't take this anymore. I got to move my money to a, quote, safer spot. You just locked in all the losses and you missed out on this huge upswing that we had.
Well, and I guess the piece that we don't know is how the money inside of the 529 is being managed. So if Rebecca is stating that she has losses in the 529, does she actually have losses or does she only feel as though she does?
Right.
And if she does have losses, is it due to touching the account too often, trying to time the market through buys and sells? Or is it due to, why would there be losses there?
Yeah, is there asset allocation off? Is there, right now, one weirdness thing that's happening, small companies not performing as well as large companies.
Yeah.
Over big, long swaths of time, small companies outperform. But over this, in this particular environment, small companies are not a great place to be. Maybe she's got a lot of money in small companies.
Right. The bulk of the market gains have been driven by just a small handful of companies. NVIDIA, Microsoft, right? A small handful of predominantly very, very large tech companies are driving the bulk of the market gains.
So I think those are things, Rebecca, for you to look at before you decide. But I think that'll help her decision about whether to cash flow now or cash flow later.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as cut and dried as is with, if you're listening to this or watching us on YouTube and you are looking at any other goal, cash flow now and let the money sit, if it's in the right spot, is generally the better option.
Yeah.
And this one,
I think the deciding factor then is going to be, is the portfolio up or down? Right?
Yeah.
Does she have gains in there or does she have losses in there? I think that's going to be the deciding factor. So we're both right.
And that's just to make us feel better, Rebecca. It has nothing to do with you. We just want to come out at a spot where we both feel right.
Well, no, I think it's illuminating because it speaks to the premise behind each of our answers, right?
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
gave my answer premised on the idea that there are losses in her portfolio because she said there were. And you gave the answer premised on the idea that there are gains in her portfolio because the market's up.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But we both agree, do not take the money out.
Right. Exactly.
For non-college expenses.
All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you for the question, and congrats to your eldest son for the full tuition scholarship. That's incredible. And congratulations to you for everything that you're building and that you're doing. For setting up such a good financial foundation for your 4 kids.
That's fabulous. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So congrats, Rebecca, and thank you.